Hello and welcome to the North America Gaelic Football Podcast, the home of Gaelic football here in North America. I'm your host, Gareth McAlinton, along with our co-host, Connor Green. Before we get started, just a quick shout out to our sponsors, Masita, who've been the official sponsor of the USGS since 2017. For those who don't know Masita, they have been Ireland's leading manufacturer of sports kits and teamwear. They are a 100% Irish-owned family business who are passionate and dedicated on supplying their customers with quality gear and top-class service. So if your club is interested in getting involved with Masita, feel free to direct message us and we will get you involved with the right people to help you with your club needs. All right, lads. The one and only Robbie Croft, Dublin's finest, is on the show.
How we doing, boys?
How's it going, Robbie?
Robbie, what's the crack with you?
There we go. Not too bad, lads. Thanks for having me.
No bother. So where do you even start with this, lad? Huh?
Well, you're a well-travelled man, Robbie.
I am indeed. Well, I started playing football, I suppose, in Dublin. I'm from Kilbarrack. It's on the north side of Dublin. So my local club was Neighbour Oak. They were a good old team. They were Division 2. You know, they were always kind of thereabouts. So I suppose when you're like 12, 13, 14, I suppose I was watching my older brother play the whole time. What you want to do is you want to play senior football. You want to get up there and I suppose I was 16 when I broke into the senior panel there in Neighbour Oak. Spent a few years there. Then I started bouncing around. Then I got the travelling fever. You know, so I think I was about 20 and I ended up going to Australia for a while. Played a bit of football over there. And obviously, you know, you come back to the clubs, you know, they're crying out, they want you back. You know, we have a good team this year and stuff like that. And I suppose it was in 2010 when I decided to make the move over to Boston for the weekend. 10 years later, you're still here. Like, so, now it's good. It's been a good journey. Yes, we landed in Boston then and started playing football. I signed up with Kerry. Kerry GAA. Kerry were going good at the time. My brother was actually over here in 99, 2000. So he had a couple of friends that were still here and they were always looking for players and stuff like that. And he was one of the reasons why I came to Boston and came to Kerry football. So it was a good journey then. Yeah, exciting times.
I remember.
How would you compare the GA scene now in like Ireland versus Australia versus US?
Well, obviously, like, you know, obviously Dublin is 15 aside. Australia is the same as 15 aside. You come into Boston, it's 13 aside straight away. It's for the forward. It's an absolute dream. Space, pockets of space everywhere. But on the other side of it, there's a hell of a lot more running. You know, the pitches, it's a lot bigger. You got to cover a lot more ground. It's been so long since I've played 15 aside. You know, you just get used to it, you know. And even when lads come out there, even tonight, the boys were talking, you know, 13 aside, it's like, it's a dream. It's a nightmare for the back, but for the forward, it's an absolute dream. Or a running midfielder, it's a dream. But it's big difference, you know, like.
I mean, it's dream for the nippy corner forward or somebody who's that like quick 10-yard step, like, and big and strong, you know. But if you're that, like, you know, 6'5", you know, big full forward, like, it's probably not going to suit you.
Look at this, the long ball. It's always a great option to have a big fella in there. But look, even look, I'm kicking 37 now this year, you know, and I'm getting up there, but. Even to have the cuteness to play in America, like, you know, you don't have to be fit, you know, you just have to be smart, you know, in what you're doing. And it's all about knowing your midfielders, it's all about knowing your halfbacks and having them trust you, you know, because if you make a run and you kick the ball out front of a person, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to win it because I'm big and strong enough to win it. But, you know, when you have this nippy corner forward, and I'm looking at our nippy corner back, and I'm saying to myself, hold on a sec here now, I'm not going to run against this fella. He's going to beat me over 10 yards straight away. I'm just going on a little run myself, bring him out there, and then all of a sudden you're leaving a one-on-one for your partner inside, and if he can't score, then he shouldn't be playing, basically. You know what I mean? So, but as well, 13 aside is grand and great, but then you're also battling the weather. 90 degrees is no joke. It is really, really no joke. I remember when I landed out here in 2010, few points, few bottles on a Friday, I'd be grand. It's not the case at all. And we tell every person that comes out here, make sure you drink plenty of water. Don't be going out drinking before games, and you can tell within the first 5 minutes who's been out and who's been not drinking water because they're dead on their feet. You know, and
it's an interesting kind of trade-off there. Like you have the boys coming out from home that, you know, probably have a lot more training done earlier in the year, especially. But, you know, you'd always be hoping at the same time, like maybe I could catch him there if he's a bit dehydrated or something, you know.
But like they all come out. They're all superheroes. They're all flying fit. They're all, I can do this. I can win a game on my own. And that's the first thing. That's one of the rules in the McAnespies setup. It's like, you know, all that has to be out the window. You need to be. It's like a brotherhood. You need to buy into this. You know, we're not looking for individuals to go win games. We want to win them together. You know, at times you're gonna have to bring out that special technique where you might get a goal out and that's fine. But for the most part, you have to play with it as a team. And if you don't want to play as a team, you're just not going to fit in. You're going to be found out within a couple of weeks, and that's what usually happens. And it's look, the manager and everything. He's not looking for, you know, if you're handpicked to come over to America, you're good. You're not a mediocre player. There's been homework done on you. People have been talking about you, so you've already made the grade to be good enough to be here. So the next part is, are you willing to drop all your armor and bond as a team? Because that's the only thing that wins at the end of the day. You know, individuality is not going to win any games. You know, if you're going to try and go out there and do it all yourself in 90-degree weather. Do you know what I mean?
We can definitely touch base more about the football here in Boston. Can we just go back to, because so you were with Kerry, right? What year were you with Kerry till?
So we landed over here in 2010. I played with Kerry. I done 3 years with Kerry when I was here. That was, you know, Kerry are a good club. There's just the direction they were going at the time. They didn't really have home base. The lads weren't staying the way they used to stay anymore. They were going home. They were leaving. So the team was like, I think there was only me and there was one other fella around. It was home base trying to get training going. You know, it's just impossible. You know, April, then you've 3 or 4 lads getting flown out, and they're kind of scratching their head saying, "Jesus, where's the team here?" You know, because things start late if you don't have a big club. So when I left Kerry, then I just wanted to better myself. I just wanted to play better football. You know, I've been playing against the McAnespies since I landed here, and they were just, you know, they're a fabulous club. But I didn't want to join the Mac straight away from Kerry. I just didn't want to do that. So I took myself out for a year and I signed in New York. I went up to New York. I played up with Westmead, New York. The lads up there, Michael Stones and stuff. Top class, man. Just real sound. Down to air lads.
Did you move to New York, you say, Robbie, or were you driving up from Boston?
I transferred to New York. You know, I had an address up there and I was playing up there. Also working down here at the same time. So I transferred away from Boston and I transferred into the New York league. So I could play up there. But I stepped away from the Boston league altogether. I've done a year up there. One season, we were in the Intermediate Championship final, and we lost that. But it was good. I always wanted to experience New York. You know, everyone says you have to go to New York, you have to play the football, and it's something I wanted to do, and I just did it at that time. It felt right. And when I transferred back, then I went straight back then to the McAnespies. So there was no bad blood between me or Kerry or anything like that. I didn't jump ship. You know, I didn't abandon them.
You didn't do an Adebayor on it there.
Exactly, you know.
You decided you weren't Adebayor.
I've had more clubs than Tiger Woods. I came back. I felt like I did it right. I mean, they still don't talk to me, but sure, look, that's life anyway, you know. But yeah, so we then with them signed with the McAnespies then, and just straight away I knew the Macs. They're always thereabouts. they bring over good firepower, and they've a good following.
Yeah.
And,
Any spoilers for who's coming over this year?
It's been. It gets that tight. We don't even know as players. There's 2 people probably in our club who know. That's it. Because it's just there's this big thing of like fellas getting lifted at the airport by the wrong team. They're going out targeting players because they know they're here. Sure, they don't know who they're meeting, so they don't say anything. There's no leakages. It's just whatever turns up on a Monday or a Thursday, or if you're asked to go and bring a few boys out for dinner, introduce yourself is kind of when you kind of know who you have. And until they sign that book, they're not yours until you pencil it in, you know.
Yeah.
How is that experience like when you're taking these lads out? Like, you know, like what's their first experience of the US? You know, because it's a weird, like you're bumping into a lad. So like, let's just say you're a lad from down coming over, and there's Robbie Croft coming to pick them up. Fucking raw Dublin lad coming out. Right, come on, we're going out here for dinner. How does that even go?
it's look, you have to break the ice with the lads. Usually, we actually have a good group of college boys that live together. And Alan picked up 2 of the lads there last 2 weeks ago, and he said, there's 2 boys landing here. And Brolly was like, send them up to the house. We'll have a little housewarming. So then they dropped them up to the house. The boys had a bit of a barbecue. They had a few drinks. They went out that night. It's just far easier with the college lads because they're the same age. They're kind of coming back and forward, you know, so they don't want to be going out with the likes of me and Alan. They want to be going out with lads. They want to be going out to nightclubs and all that kind of thing, you know, and we're just there to feed them when they've no money is basically how that works.
Which is every Monday morning.
And so look, if just buy them lunch, just buy them a gallon of water and, you know, but look, the last few years the lads have been coming out, they've been absolutely... Boys have been sound, really, really nice lads. No, there's no dickheads, you know. So it's good.
It's funny you mentioned there earlier, like the brotherhood. You know, like the bond the lads have that come over. Like, you know, you come over with a bunch of lads from, you know, Dublin, from down Kerry, but you leave with a bunch of lads that'll be friends for life. You know, when you're ever in these places, like you'll always have the place to stay. You'll always have somebody to go for a pint with, somebody that you played with throughout the years. It's a unique experience coming out here for the summer.
It's like the biggest thing now for us in the last few years has been a Snapchat group. So like every year we have Snapchat 21, Snapchat 22, Snapchat 23. 22 is still going on. I think 22 is brought into 23, so we keep it all the same. So we've all the big heads, and all the lads are writing in. You know, someone like we're always just stupidly posting. Some of the boys, even in Port Leisha, they're meeting each other at home. You know, like they're traveling around, and it's brilliant because when you win something like we won, it's a memory you'll never forget. It's like, you know, you get into finals and you'll lose. That's fine. You'll get over it. You'll live the rest of your life. But what we did, you'll not forget that. I remember the first cup I won when I was 10, and I can remember like it was yesterday. You'll always remember the fellas you were with at the time and at that place, you know. So it is a very unique thing, yeah.
Yeah. What would you say is your favourite achievement now, Rob?
I'd say, look, I am 10 years chasing the Boston Cup. I've lost 4 finals. I've scored numerous points trying to catch this thing, and probably last year was the best thing to win, to captain the team, to win in the way we did, and then from my 9-year-old son to witness the whole thing. That's the best thing ever for me. No words can put into how that made me feel. Like, you know, even though it was like all a blur after, you know, but it was brilliant.
Yeah. So can you talk a bit more about the final there from last year? Because there was a big crowd at that one there. What was the build up like for that?
Yeah. So the final last year, Jesus. So like we had a week off. We 2 weeks to the final. Like, so we won the coin toss, and the club had brought over a guy, Conor Maguire. He was the trainer. When Conor landed, a guy's coming off to train you, all right, fair enough. Sure, like me, I'm around 200 years playing football, so what does he know? Do you know what I mean? So you're trying to buy into this. Conor had a plan, and he went through the plan with us, and he said it's simple. We're going to do the same structural thing. We're going to warm up the same way. We're going to do this in between, and we're going to finish with this and this. But the one major thing Conor brought into something that I never did personally was band work in training. And I wouldn't be a fan of doing any of this sort of stuff. So he started doing band work with us at the start. And I have to say, by the third week, I couldn't train without doing band work. So that was the first kind of build up. That was these little milestones he was bringing. Then once he had the structure of the team, everyone was here and signed. He went through who was going to be playing where, like what positions and the whole lot. And then it was just the last week then, because all the running is done, all the messing around and the hard work is done. It was just game plan. And Conor came up with this system, and he basically said what he wanted, because he had studied Donegal, because we knew we were playing Donegal. We were all out watching the semi-final. And there was a couple of things that he pinpointed out to us that made perfect sense. And we know a lot about Donegal as they do us, because we're playing them all the time. We're all living in the same town. So, there's not too much going to slip through. But the little game plans and the little changes that Conor made in, like on a Donegal kick out, a high press to make them go long. Like, we have two lads in midfield there, they're like 6'3", and they're basketball players. They're American basketball players. So no one's going to outjump these lads. They're jumping their whole life, So once we had Yank kicking long, we knew there we were in a good position to get the dirty ball, the breaking ball, And then there was times then where we would actually let them go short, and we would just fall back, and then we would just march together. And these little things that you don't think are big deals at the time was the reason why we won the championship last year. And it was brilliant. And it was all down to Conor, and he didn't change anything in training. He did what he thought was right at the time, because he had assessed he'd assessed Donegal on their thing. But on the day itself, those are 2,500 people. Sure, I didn't see one person there, because I'm on the field and walking around. My son is beside me. We're walking doing the national anthems and stuff. People are shouting and roaring, but I don't see anybody, because I'm just trying to concentrate on what I have to do today to do my part for the team to get over the line. And it was at the end is when I realised how many people were actually in the place. Because the whole place, they all ran onto the field. It was just happened so quick. It was it was pretty amazing.
There's been some battles with Donegal through the last few years. I know one. I was it 2018 or 2019? We just had Donegal in the final. I thought that was the year. I thought that was the one that was going to break. But unfortunately, it was. At that time, I was still wearing the Max colours. I mean, I still wear the McAnespies colours. That's still my home club since I came here. But that was the one that got away. And I think boys are still talking about that's the one that got away. Even though we redeemed ourselves last year, but that was a tough one to take.
So I was hoping you weren't going to bring it up, but look while we're on the topic. So we were 7 points up. Still even hard to come out of my mouth saying we were 7 points up with like 2 minutes to go. I was playing in goal that year. I had a bad injury in soccer, so I ended up venturing in goal anyway. And so the last 2 minutes, this is in my eyes, because I've seen it all. So we had got a free in the right hand corner, and I had ran out to take the free. We were 7 points up. We were cruising, and for some reason, Tony Broslin from Kerry, he was playing corner forward. He was back there, wherever he was working hard, defending and stuff. And I remember saying to him, "Leave it down, I'll take it." And he took the free quick, which meant I was out of goal. So the guy he hit it to, I can't remember. He hit it to the midfielder. I can't remember his name. But he went down to get it and he missed. He missed it altogether. Therefore, the Donegal lad came steaming through. I'm out of goal. I'm trying to get back. Everyone's trying to rustle to get back. Falls to Barry John King. Boom. Goal. Just like that. The crowd go absolutely mental. It just completely and utterly knocked us for dead because everyone was running towards the Donegal goal when this happened. So we were all caught off guard. And this was I suppose you can hit the 2-minute marker there. Donegal have a goal. There's 5 points left. There's 5 points in the game. There's like a minute 50 left. I'm kicking the ball out and I'm strolling out. I'm trying to kill as much time as I can. My 2 cornerbacks are hidden. They're in the stand. They don't even want the ball. There's no one to hit it to. I could have hit it to myself. It was that much space they were hiding. So the ball goes long. Anyway, I kicked it as hard as I could away. And Donegal turned her over again. And now they're coming back and they're building momentum. And they're going through. And all of a sudden, we've built up a blanket defence. And we're trying to just stop them from getting goals. That's all. And they could have taken a point. They didn't because they knew they needed a goal. And they were hovering around the box, hovering around. And I mean, one of the fellas hand passed it into the box. And I remember standing on just past the line. And a guy, Nicky Kelly, just jumped up and he just swung at the ball with his fist. And whatever way I was standing, it just went into the left-hand corner, completely blindsided. And here we go there now. 2-point game. Donegal crowd are going absolutely mental. The place is just insane. And we're deflated. 2 goals have gone in the space of a minute. And there's like a minute left. So, same thing again happens. I go out. I put the ball down. I'm looking for. All of a sudden, then it's like I have no team. I don't know who to hit it to. No one wants the ball. Kick the ball out again. Same thing. They came back and they kicked a long free. So it's a point game. In the 30 seconds left, a massive row broke out over in the right under the stadium. Tony Brosnan again flicked, body slammed some fella. The fella he was marking. So there was absolute carnage. Both sidelines were on. All the players were on. And that was the biggest mistake that happened to us that day because from a 30-second till the game was over, there was another minute and a half added on because of what happened. And so you can see where it's going there now. They got a point to draw the game. And 10 seconds left, the referee then gave them a kickable free in and around the 25-yard line. They kicked it over, and that was it. Boy, Jesus, if there was a hole in the ground, I'd have crawled into it because that was the worst feeling I've ever felt in my entire life. Yeah, even thinking about it now, it's gut wrenching. It really is.
I remember because I was with Gareth O'Neill. And I think we were on the sideline, and that was one of the games that was actually showed on Facebook Live, but it wasn't like a great picture. It wasn't like they did like, I think it was the Gaels or something were doing it. It's not like last year where they had like it properly live. But I remember Collie Donnelly, who used to play with Max, 5 minutes to go. I think it was like a couple minutes ago. I said, congrats, lads. 7 points up. Oh, congrats, lads. Brilliant. O'Neill texted him 5 minutes later. Lost, lad. It's just one of the worst. It's like he thought it was over. Everybody thought it was over at that point. But it just shows. It just goes to show nothing's over till it's over. And how much of that kind of leaked into the last year's final. Because there was a certain point in that game where you had to know, right, we have it, but you can't have that thought, especially with what happened a few years prior. Because I had to be in the back of the head the whole time.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember looking at the score, and we were like 3 up at that stage, and we were kind of holding on to the ball and stuff. And that was when the final whistle went. I remember I was up. I just went straight up, and I shook Yank's hand, and I think Knockdown's marking at the time. It hadn't sank in for me because I didn't allow it because of what happened a few years before. It was like, I remember being in the goal in 2018, I was nearly crying saying, I'm finally going to get what I've been working for. And it was taken away from me. So I didn't take anything for granted. The whistle went and I just I kind of had to pinch myself to see if it was real, like, you know, and sure, I knew it was real then because my 9-year-old son is roaring, crying, coming up to me. So that was it then. So then the tears are all fucking all over the shop and stuff. But it was, it was looking. Donegal, I'd say one thing about them, they never give up. And in all the years I've been playing against them, it's never over till it's over with that team. They're a good team. They have a good strong following. So yeah.
I mean, they've got 3 teams every year, which is absolutely phenomenal. Like, and you have to give credit to where credit deserves. You know, to come out every year with 3 teams, a senior, a junior, and a junior B team. You know, as much as the rivalry, you hate to say it, but you know, it's hats off to them every year. They come out with big numbers. You know, they bring out great players from home, which obviously, you know, drives on the McAnespies too, because without that rivalry, you know, the competitiveness kind of goes out the window, you know. So if they're driving it on,
like, you know, on one hand you hate them, you're like, oh, you know, because even at all levels they're so strong. But on the other hand, you know, if they weren't there, football wouldn't be the same in Boston, you know. And it's like, it's unfortunate there's a lot of teams they're just not equipped to play senior level. I think there's like 3 teams this year playing senior. I think maybe Galway are dropping down, and you know, do you blame them? Do they have the resources to stay at the top? I think it's funny there. And I was in the butcher's there last week, and our fella says, you go out there, you spend all this money for what? For the cup? Will you ever go and feck off? He said, you know, being spent. He's right though, you know, like at the end of the day, it's bragging rights is all you're fighting for, you know, so.
Yeah, but you know what? And we actually had Peter Murray on one of our shows. It puts arses on the seats. When you're bringing out these name players, you know, it brings the competition level up, you know. And when you've got, you know, one team bringing out, you know, Connolly, and one bringing out Brosnan, and now they're you have to step it up, you know. And there's been some great players that's come over the years, you know, like that team that lost. I think it was 2019 that year. You know, you look Tony Brosnan, you had, you know, Pierce Lavery, Dan McGuinness, you know, bunch of lads out that year. And even last year, look at that team last year.
Hanlon as well. He's
oh yeah, O'Hanlon's been playing with the Monaghan, yeah.
All these lads, you see that guy Stephen, absolutely what an athlete. I just, you know, you think you've seen it all, and then this lad comes out and he's eating celery as his main meal, and he's flying around the place, and all of a sudden then we're all drinking celery before training. Just, you know, because it's just insane. You know, one fella brings something in, you know, his 6-pack looks well, the whole lot. What's your secret? I just like eating celery. All of a sudden then we're getting blended celery before training. Anything at all, just to keep you going, just to get through them horrible training sessions, to get through all that donkey running in the muck and stuff, just for that, to be out there in the Sunday in 90-degree weather. You know, so it's good.
Yeah, so in comparison to when you first came out, you've been out here since 2010. You know, what's the main differences now between players nowadays versus back then?
I suppose when I came out there, you know, it was the big thing I can tip on is nutrition. These fellas, you know, they're going out for meals, and like their diet plans, they're drinking protein throughout the training sessions. You know, the big thing is they're actually training in gyms on days that they're not training football. You know, they get together, they're meeting up, they're cooking together, and that's a big thing, because, you know, nutrition, especially when you play Gaelic football, it's like Gaelic football is not like any other sport. Like the fitness levels are absolutely through the roof. You know, and every year it's getting worse. You know, like they're coming over and they're sticking to diet plans, and you know, they stop drinking Bud Lights and all this, and they're drinking all this low carb stuff because it's affecting their daily intake of food and stuff. You know, and when you see stuff like that, it's just, if you don't fall on board with them and try and better yourself with them, you're just not going to be a part of a senior team, and then you'll be an intermediate player, and you know, and that's just the way it is. But that's one of the big things with me, and they share it. They come out and they say, "Well, this is what I have in the morning," and you know, and all of a sudden, then we're all in a WhatsApp group, what we had for breakfast, porridge, bananas, this, Jesus Christ, going down to the butcher's for an hour fry is like, you don't want anybody to know. You might get judged in training on Thursday, that kind of way. Like, so it's definitely played a big part. Supplements.
All right. So Connor, what we're saying is pre-season, everybody's getting on MyFitnessPal. Everybody's tracking every bit of calories now. Junior C football has just stepped up.
Yeah.
But it's so true. I mean, like the lads that are come over and you see them come off the field, and they're absolutely just jacked, and they run all day. Even with the weather change, I think when they're like maybe the first little struggle, but they adapt very quick. Just
on a Wednesday, Sunday. Definitely. It's definitely a major factor. I've noticed over the years. Even when my brother played, my brother played for Dublin for years, and he turned around to me there a few years ago and he said, "Jesus Christ, if they had protein shakes when I was playing with Dublin back in 98, 99, Jesus Christ, the world is your oyster of how far you would have got." So, and then it changes. It comes in, a few years later. Then it's like it's all supplements, food intake. It's not even about training. It's about your BMI. You're tracking, the whole lot, and you don't think it at the time, but it does play a big factor. Like, there's no point in going out and running 50 laps if you're going to eat a hamburger or a chicken fillet roll. If you're not eating right and training right, you're not going to be right. And that's something that really stands in June when you're looking at the boys and they can't get into a player fit jersey. Because that's the biggest period is trying to breathe on a Sunday. Never mind the weather, the fucking jersey, you can't breathe in the thing.
That's the motivation in itself. How do I fit into a player fit shirt come June, July?
I can't say, is there any chance I can get an extra large player fit? They come in one size, and if you're not cut, if you're not making it, you're not going to be playing. It's simple. You don't
want to drag the team down and make the picture look bad. Well,
that's so yourself when you're standing in pictures. I was standing beside Robbie Pickett last year. I had to stand on my tippy toes. I'm 6'1", and he made me look small.
Talking about Pickett, look at the players we've had over the last few years. You've been on that team. Who would be your standout players that you've played with over the last few years?
Jesus, I've had there's a lot of players I've played in different times, and I think Pickett, the lad, the boys that were out. There was one individual last year for me, Darragh Lyon. Darragh's from Kerry. He's like your typical Australian surfer, 6'3", blonde hair, 6-pack. Apparently they all come with 6-packs now, and he landed out. The boys landed out himself and Buckley. Buckley was another one from Kerry. And there was just one in particular thing that made me like Darragh a little bit more in the way he was playing. We were playing last year. It was the 3-second rule. Football has gone so fast these days. It's like you have 3 seconds with the ball. If you have time to carry it, take it on. If you don't, get rid of it, because you will just be closed down. Because turnovers are a massive thing these days. So we were playing a game. Darragh's second training session, and the ball was coming in. It was given to me. Darragh was coming in off my shoulder to break the line, and I didn't give it to him because I seen a guy behind him, and I took it around, and the play broke down. And instead of Darragh coming shouting, screaming at me, he came over and he whispered in my ear and he goes, "Croft, you should have gave that fucking ball. Give it the next time." Now, there's two things I could have done here. I could have fucking went at him and said, "Who do you think you are coming over here, blah, blah, blah." And I held my hand up and I was like, "Darragh, you know what, you're right, I'm sorry." And ever since that day then, he was 20 last year, and I just couldn't, for the life of me, he's 20 years of age. The maturity of him playing football, and then to come in and just whisper in my ear what I should have done. And that was it for me. He was dead right. I took his advice, a younger kid, and it made me a better player. Because that 3-second rule was we worked so hard to try and break the line to get into the goal. Just give it off. Because the day and age now of me taking the ball solo and having a look, that's gone. Because they're going to close you down, because they're looking at your age, they're looking at your physicality, they're looking at your fitness. the teams are so well gelled on who they have to attack and who they have to double up on to get the ball back, that the 3-second rule is so important now. It's just give it off, gone. Give it off, gone. And it works wonders.
That's an interesting concept. Has that been something that's been brought in you just with like modern football? Like how did that even come across?
The reason it came across in McAnespies football is because the training is so intense and fellas are so eager to win their position over. They're so tight marking. There's not one fella that's roaming around free. Every man has a man, and it's so tight that you don't even get 3 seconds on the ball. So when you get it, you want to give it off because you don't want to be the one that breaks it down. So the intensity, it's because of the new lads coming out, the 20, 21-year-olds with the physique, and they're absolutely chiseled, and they'll kill you. There's been more fights in training over certain things, but it's all healthy fighting. It's all, a fella gives a box. It's healthy for two lads to go at it, but it's very important that they leave it there and it doesn't be on you. He's going to be marking you for the duration of the summer. So deal with it, fix it and get over it, because if it leaks into the team, then certain things start to spread and then sides and all that kind of stuff. So it's, it's...
So you're giving away the secrets there that there was fights in the camp?
Always fights in the camp, man. Sure, I'm always fighting. Sure, it's always me, sure.
But yeah, so I mean, just to go back to that game last year, that final, like the build-up and stuff. So how was that? Like, how would you describe that feeling of winning that?
It was, look, the McAnespies hadn't won since 2011. It was a long time. They were knocking on the door a long time. Even like Alan, I had joined up when Alan had took over, and so we were 3 years, 4 years going at it, like, and just got so close. It was just he wouldn't let it go. The year we lost, he wouldn't let it go. He was like, I'm going again. So once I said to him, what's the plan? He's like, I'm going again. So therefore, I'm going again. I'm not, I'm any day now. I'm waiting to retire. I can't wait, But so we just winning it was for him, because the amount of work that goes into these phone calls and these fellas and the bribing and they said this amount and that amount, and it's just, it gets old after a while, and you come over here and you can have a donkey in front of you who can't kick a ball and he's at the top and like the best player in Leitrim, you know what I mean? So once they get here and prove themselves, but just winning it, even for the older guys in the club, there was actually people on that field coming up to me that I didn't even know they were a part of the club. Never in my life seen them. So like, there is a good following out there, and as you said, it's the big games that gets these fellas out. But I'd met so many people I didn't know, and they're coming up, well done, Robbie, and like, I don't want to turn around and say, look, I don't know. Yeah, thanks, but I was blown away with the support they had.
There's so many people behind the scenes, that do so much for clubs. And they're the people that, that don't get enough praise, in my opinion. They're the ones who's out there every winter selling hundreds and hundreds of tickets and, raising money for the clubs that were able to be that competitive, in the summers. So, there is a lot of those like behind the scenes people that you don't even know who they are, and they're coming up and thanking you. But they're probably the most important people in the club, because they're the ones that's keeping the club alive every year.
Yeah, they definitely are, and it's like we're having a banquet now on Saturday for winning the cup last year, and like I'll probably meet a load of them that are there. You know what I mean? And like their work doesn't go unnoticed. Like everyone that's involved, the home base, they were like the easy part is for us to play football. But you're right there, like selling tickets and stuff, and there's nothing worse than going and asking someone, will you buy a square for the club, to support the club, because this day and age people don't have it. Like I go down to Green Hills there and it'll cost me like $127 for a cup of tea and a scone. Do you know what I mean? Because you're getting hit for tickets and stuff. But as you say, without them people doing all that hard work, there wouldn't be football. it wouldn't be here. It wouldn't exist at all. So credit to them boys.
Yeah. I was impressed with you there at towards the end of the game, Robbie. Just like with the freeze and all that, you were really booting a few of those over there towards the end of the game. Like I always say, it's one thing to be able to kick a free, with fresh legs and all that, but at the end of a game, it's a different kettle of fish altogether. Would you have any tips for someone there to how to handle that mentally or physically?
It's as I say there, like it was still kind of all of a blur to me. Like, I watch it back on the telly and stuff. There's just days. Canton is a very strange place to kick a ball. Very strange. In the next month, the ground is too soft. Sometimes I don't know whether to kick it off the ground or on my hands. The middle of the summer, then it's hot, but it's still soft because they water it. There's some days it's unkickable. Then near the end of summer, the grass is leaving. It's all burnt and the whole lot, and then you've hard concrete. So I just going back to the freeze. Just that particular day, I was kicking well. You always know when you kick your first free how it goes. I knew that game was going to go to the wire. I actually 3 weeks. I don't usually practice frees in training because you'd be so exhausted and stuff. But the 3 weeks to the final, Connor had me kicking frees, and he kind of said to me, he said, "Look, I know you're kicking frees a long time, but just get yourself right." Or whatever, because he knew it was, frees win games, and going off that game, frees were very important, and they are very important through any game. So it's very good. It's always good to have a good free kick taker. But I remember there was a free over on the right hand side, and Jamie Brennan from Donegal. Jamie was on the left side, and I went over obviously because I was the free taker. He was the free taker over that side, and he let me take it. And I was a bit taken back from it. And I curled it in from the right, and I caught it beautifully. And sometimes I do miss frees, but I'm happy how I catch them. You hit that sweet spot with the ball. And after the game, Jamie was like, the reason why I let you take the free is because you were kicking well. And sometimes, when you're kicking well, you just leave the free taker do his thing. And it paid off that day for sure.
What was the feeling like of lifting that cup?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was handed a list to read out, to congratulate. So I was like, let's fuck this down. I couldn't even breathe. It was like, yeah. So we had to call up the team and everything. But just as I said, the best moment was my son was beside me, and I lifted the cup up, and we'd had a couple of small incidents that happened throughout the year and stuff, certain players or whatever, and I was just happy for them. Just all that hard work, all them long nights running, giving out, fighting, arguing. That was it. Lifting the cup. You're just at peace. You can't. That's it. It was a beautiful moment. It really was.
Beautiful moment and grown people with tears in their eyes of joy. And that's what it meant to these people. That's been, it's over 10 years. Over 10 years waiting for that one moment. Like Donegal, obviously, over the last few years, they've won like 3. They were going for their 4th in a row, right?
Yeah.
I think it was 4 in a row.
It was, that's, they've won it so many times now, and then they can't try and brush it off. We won it, blah, blah, blah. It's how you win it. It's the caliber of player they had that year. It's everything, because they thought they were going to walk it. And, we lost to Connemara in the lead up to that. So it was completely blown out of the water. So nobody knew what was going on, And then Donegal got hammered by Galway. And
that's right.
That's the thing about Galway, I went out there Saturday evening. I was refereeing up the top. I said, I'll watch this game. I went out. It was like 4-4 to 2 points. And I was like, where does this come from? Galway, you just don't know what you're going to get with them. A credit to them. They've stayed up senior for this long. I don't know if they're going to be there now this year, but they're a credit to themselves because you don't want to play Galway because you just don't know what you're going to get on any given day. And they absolutely hammered Donegal that day. And then we lost to Connemara, and then it was completely out in the open. Nobody knew what Galway were even with a chance of winning. That's how bizarre it was. But yeah, as you say, beating them that day was brilliant. It was absolutely amazing.
You said about the work that Alan's put in with the management. I think a lot of people were over the moon for him to finally win that cup. The work that man has put in over the past few years, and that man wears his heart on his sleeve. You could even see him after the game. He was speechless.
Some Alan gets so in the dressing rooms. He gets so into it, so emotional. We'd be all linked up in the dressing rooms, and you're tearing, and you're all in a circle, so you're all looking at each other, and you'd be tearing to what he'd be saying. It's just now sometimes he might stutter and say something that he doesn't mean to say, but everyone's on the same page because they know where he's coming from, and he's right. He wears his heart on his sleeve. What you see is what you get with him, and yeah, he's done wonders for the club. He really has, and the amount of work he does himself. We were training tonight there, 6 o'clock. He's down there at 5:15 setting up, and he's standing there and he's waiting because he's the Roy Keane mentality. If you're not 10 minutes early, you're late, and if you're going to be 6:05, he says, "Don't bother training. I don't want to see it." And once you set them ground rules, that's it. It's a bit of it's just setting up so it's run right,
Is he taking it again this year?
Yeah, so Alan's over this year. He's so we've already done a 6-week program in 617 CrossFit. We're outside now. We're kicking ball and we're thriving. We're just every week there's 2 more players we're adding to the team. So in I'd say now in the next 2 or 3 weeks there now we'll have at least 24 lads training and just ready to go at it again. Still a lot of intermediate junior players that they don't kind of with commitments and kids and stuff like that. And obviously the weather's a little bit too cold for them, so they won't. They don't want to come out and do too much running too soon,
Yeah, so you were mentioning about your young lad there. He's pretty involved with the Gaelic and hurling and all that as well as he. How's the youth scene out in the northeast now?
Yeah. The youth it's very, very strong. Yeah, Shay, my son is 9, so I took on managing Shay's team when he was 7. Obviously, you want to get your kids in early. I was hoping I'd just go down and put them in and then just be able to watch from the side, but that wasn't the case at all. So I got collared in to do a bit of coaching, and I've had them for the last few years. But St. Brendan's is the club that he plays for, and they're absolutely thriving with players. Every year the roster is doubling up in numbers. It's just the facilities. They train in John Paul Park, and it's just what I say to people when they want to come down, because the sports in America is very expensive for kids, soccer, baseball and all that. So the first thing I say to the parents when I approach them about getting their kid to play, I says it's the cheapest daycare around. It's like $200 for the year, and it's like they train 2 nights a week, and then they play a game on the weekend or whatever, and there's numerous tournaments that they play all around America. And once they hear the whole background of Gaelic football and the whole lot, Shay's hockey team, most of his hockey team now are down playing with St. Brendan's that I coach, just because of word of mouth. And it's doing very well. They're thriving big time, St. Brendan's.
Yeah. And they have a new ladies team, I heard.
Yeah, so the St. Brendan's is it's a juvenile section. So what happens then, when they get to 15, 16, they age out, they're adults. So St. Brendan's have come up with this idea that they're going to start a ladies junior team. So what happens to all them girls? They don't actually age out and go to a girls Gaelic team in Boston. They've started their own Gaelic team. So there's going to be in the next few years, that's going to take off. They've already 18 players, and once the kids hit 15, 16, they're allowed to play. So it's only getting bigger. Obviously, once they get stronger, that junior team will be able to bring players out also, the way it's run. So it's going to be a very, very strong team. And these kids that are playing, these are kids that have been playing with St. Brendan since they're like 7. So it's just going to be as strong as any team in Ireland, you know. So, and it's the same there with the Fela team as well. I trained the Fela team last year. I trained the Fela team. They actually won the Fela when they went back to Ireland in their division. And this year again, we're doing it. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a junior men's team coming in the next year or so, because what's going to happen is all them kids, where they're going to go if they don't feel comfortable joining a club like McAnespies or Kerry or Donegal, you know. They stay with the kids that they've played since they've been 7. And you know, as I said, they're going to have a junior team, I'd say, and hopefully one day, Barnables in New York, they won a senior championship from all American kids. So hopefully one day St. Brendan's will do that in years to come. But it's definitely, GAA in America is definitely looking up. Hopefully maybe there will be one day where we don't need Irish players to come over. Maybe it'll be an All-American league with green card holders.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you brought up a couple of really good points there. Ladies football, in my opinion, is thriving. I think there's a definite. We are in Worcester. I mean, we have the 2 hurling teams, we have the football, and then we have the New England camogie team. But I definitely see, you know, in the near future, a possible ladies team, and without a doubt, a youth program. I know some of the other clubs, Hartford, who's in our division as well, they've started a ladies football team. They've got the youth football going. Providence just entered a ladies football team. So, I mean, it's definitely on the horizon. There's definitely going to be a huge growth in that, in my opinion. But, I mean, the resources are there. The USGA provide really good resources for new clubs coming in. I mean, Boston's done a phenomenal job with that. Like St. Brendan's and Trinity, who is also in our division. You know, they were a youth club, and now they put in a junior team, and they were playing with us. They actually won. They beat us in the final last year. Pretty much all American kids and their dads. Phenomenal. You know, and it was brilliant. And, you know, it was, we actually played on the back field, on the B field, and there was more people watching our game on the B final. I think was it the Junior A final that was on the same time, Connor?
I think it was the intermediate there. Kerry ran
intermediate,
day, didn't they?
And there was more people watching our Junior C football game, and the crowd was unbelievable for a Junior C final. But it was all American kids and their families. It was unbelievable to see. So, and the play, and it was just one of those experiences. Like, nobody expected that for a Junior C game. But yeah, it would just credit the Trinity and all American kids, and, you know, fair play to them. You know, they've all kids that grew up with each other, and they're all best mates. And that's what you hope with the GA community, right? It's one family, it's one community. You know, it's not just, you know, John Young was on one of our podcasts, and he said it best. It's 25% football, it's 75% crack. So it's
you see them lads you play against Trinity. Like, I coach them these kids with the Fela team, and I swear to God, these lads are born athletes. They don't have to know anything about Gaelic football. These fellas can run, they can fight. They're just absolutely physically and mentally strong. And then you bring in the Gaelic skills, and just like that, they get it. And that Trinity team is only going to get stronger. And it's the same with the St. Brendan's girls, and then hopefully the St. Brendan's boys. But these are 5 to 7 year programs. If you don't start now, which the work is already being done before I landed in St. Brendan's, you'll reap the rewards in a few years' time when they have 3, 4, 5 teams going out. And that's what it's all about. You know, the day and age of watching the Irish fellas come over, it's great and grand, but it gets old. And that's why you had so many people up there watching Worcester against Trinity, because they were all American-born kids. And, you know, they have a good following, and they done well. They beat, maybe they'll go Junior B now, will they? Or they go Junior A next year?
No, I think they're going to stay in our division. I think it's going to be the same team. So it'll be Sean Oaks, who's another All-American team.
Yeah.
It'll be Trinity. It'll be Hartford, Portland, and us in Worcester. So, I mean, that's a phenomenal division. Yeah. And, you know, it's just, and with our division, it's pretty unique because we've no sanction players. Yeah. So it's all homegrown players. But we can only have 3 Irish people on the field. The other 10 have to be homegrown, American born. So so you're forced into bringing these American kids in and really like getting out and recruiting and getting new kids in and getting their friends. And I think that's the toughest part, is the recruitment, right? So, because there's a lot of, it's labor intensive. There's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes, and then you got to get them in, and then you got to get the proper training, the proper coaching. You can't, no point in bringing them in to, all right, go jump on the field there and figure it out as you go.
Well,
that doesn't work.
John Jones, I'll quote John again, 75% crack. If they don't see crack or a bit of banter immediately, they're not going to go back. I know it's hard to recruit and, trying to teach people. And it's very frustrating when you've been playing the game as long as we've been playing, to solo the ball, to bounce the ball. Now, I'm doing this with kids. Now, I do say to the parents, look, forgive me if they learn a couple of bad languages along the way, but, I have no patience. But, like, when you're trying to teach adults who will eventually get it, and you've probably seen yourself, Gary, like lads that come down, I play rugby or I play this, and then once they watch the game and how it revolves and how it moves quickly and stuff, it's pretty simple to get used to. It's one of the easiest sports to pick up, do you know what I mean? But as you say there, if there's the crack, there's crack. We were training tonight, the banter and the crack, who got sick, who pulled the board, who this, who that, that's the banter you're looking for, you know what I mean? And then come July, then you won't talk to each other because you be so hard in that training, you'll not care what's going on, But as you said there, the most important thing is having the fun.
And who sent the horrible Snapchat?
It's usually young Gorms there. Owen's been out drinking there since he's like 16. I think he's 21st. It's coming up there, and he's like, "How are you 21? You're out drinking the last 10 years."
I remember he was coming to training. So I was out here. 2012 was the first year I was with the Max, and he used to come out. He used to come out as a wee one, yeah. And just how he is. There's another lad, a young American kid that's just, was always small. And then out of nowhere, just grew. Yeah, and there's an American kid that grew up. Now, obviously, his parents are from Ireland. Dermot from Tyrone and the mother from Monaghan. Yeah. But grew up American kid. But he's starting in a senior football final with some of the best footballers coming over from Ireland. That's how good some of these American kids are.
Do you know? I just put a spanner in the works. Do you know how strong our McAnespies team has gone now? Our captain this year is American, and our vice captain is American. Owen Ward is our captain, and Owen Gormy is our vice captain. Now, if that doesn't show you the volume of where we are, most of our kids that we are waiting to come back for the cup are all American in college and stuff. So we have 12 or 14 of us, and then we have another 10 or 11 Americans to come in. So whatever any other club is doing, we're breeding our own American fellas in. And like last year, you had to have 2 Americans on at all time. We had 5. We won that championship with 5 American-born kids. And then obviously our away base, and then our whatever home base. So that in itself is absolutely amazing to me. Anyway, like Owen, as you say, he's a phenomenal player. Like he's just, sometimes I do be dreaming. I watch him. I do get caught just like watching him. He was a basketball player. Now he's a Gaelic player, and he just puts it all into one. And it's just, I'd recommend any kid who lives here play basketball, then play Gaelic football. It just makes life easier when you're twisting and turning and stuff.
It's unbelievable the difference of watching somebody who's played basketball, the spring on their step. Like that working on that spring jump, like so them going for a dunk, how high they can go up and catch a ball, which is such an important attribute in Gaelic football, especially for midfielders. Like I watched that final, and one of the Ward brothers was playing that game, and the two of them were just... Yeah, and the two of them were just fielding balls. And you know what? Doing the simple things. And they weren't doing anything fancy. It was just up, get the ball, and fist it on to the next player. That was their job.
We knew with the two. Their father won an All-Ireland medal, I think, with Monaghan or someone back in the day. Like their father was a county player. So, like, we knew with Owen and Stephen, like, we knew what they were capable of. And they weren't capable of running at full tilt solo on the ball, taking on players. But they were capable of manhandling players, jumping up, catching the ball and giving it off. And this is another beauty of Conor, what Conor did. He's like, don't simplify it. Just catch the ball, give it off. There'll be support for you. We have the players and the resources to support you. And then as the season went on, Owen then started going on these runs where he was like soloing the ball, taking on players. So it's just all boils down to just the simple things. And that's what makes it. And them two boys there now, I tell you, I hate to be fucking marking them because the two of them, they come as a twosome. If you hit one of them, two of them are coming after you.
You might have seen there's a new all-star team there entering into the Junior All-Ireland for 2024. Going to be all American-born lads. They're going to try out for the team in Chicago later this year. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, I don't know why this hasn't been a thing long ago. It's like, it's New York get to play in the championship at home. I don't see why Boston is, and it's absolutely brilliant that they're finally putting a junior team together because the standard of footballers in this town is absolutely insane. And I think they can brush the shoulders of any county team at home. So, yeah, look, I wish them the best of luck. And you have my full support. And here I'm always available if they're looking for an L coach or somebody to shout at them for 40 minutes. You know what I mean? But no, it's absolutely brilliant. It's just another stepping stone for Boston thriving in GAA.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's been already a board put together for it, and I think they're in the middle of working out managers and selectors and stuff. So, but yeah, I mean that's going to be a tough team to pick because remember you're going to be picking the best of the best American kids from San Francisco, from Philadelphia, from Boston, from Chicago, where it has a lot of talent. A lot of these kids are.
That's a lot. There's going to be a lot of players there. It's going to be a hard one. What are they going to do? Where's the venue going to be? For fellas that have to travel and stuff. Is it going to be a weekend thing? Couple of games here and there. Yeah. So look, it's going in the right direction. I wish them the best of luck, and it's definitely something to look forward to. Huh? Put the jersey on. Put the Boston jersey. Was it being a what would be the it wouldn't be a Boston team, would it?
It would be a USGAA All-American team that'll be entering the junior championship at home.
Yeah, it's also going to be hard too when they're coming from different places, to do. But definitely, definitely brilliant.
They'll ruffle a few.
Part of me would love to see a Boston team though, like you're saying about New York there.
But
I'd be curious to see how they do. Like there's a lot of say if you're picking all home base or something like that. I'd be curious. I'd say they'd be competitive enough.
New York is playing
Boston against New York team. They used to do that. I don't know why it stopped. I think one of the reasons why it stopped was we actually kept beating them. New York would come down. You probably play, Gary. You're probably around. New York.
I was around for that. Yeah,
it was a kind of a warm-up game or whatever for the championship and stuff. And like we weren't just a bunch of lads that come off the piss for a week to play a team. We were actually geared up to say, well, hold on a minute here. If we can actually take these in our garden here, we might get a bit of recognition and say, well, why aren't Boston in it? Because of the standard of football and stuff. But I don't know why it's since changed. But I know they're in a different league and stuff. But I don't know why they can't for Providence.
That could be a good call out there, Robbie. You're calling out the New York team there to come down and play us.
No, what I hear, I go and play them. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. We'll go to them.
Numerous occasions. So there's a lot of lads up there. I think personally they're afraid to come down to Boston and be beaten by the players that are here. And sure, if they want to come down there, pack the hang sandwiches. So we're here. We're waiting.
You know what? That'll be a great game. I will say in New York, that's going to be a good team. So this weekend, New York is obviously playing Leitrim. This episode will probably be aired after that game, but it'll be interesting to see how that goes because you're right. And I think you actually played in that team that played for Boston, the select Boston that played against New York, right?
Yeah. So I was on that team. Same thing. We put a team together, and we were with Biscuits at the time. Biscuits off the Blues, and Biscuits' mentality was like, you want to get yourself out there, beat them. You like why don't you get a chance of representing America? Why did I get to do it? So that was his mentality. Go out there, beat them in our garden, and let the critics do the rest. Now there has been some great games, real tight games. Obviously, there's a lot of fighting going on and stuff like that, rivalry and all that kind of stuff. But it's definitely something they should look into. But then again, it's hard work trying to organise something like that. It takes a lot of time and effort, and kids, people have families and jobs and stuff. It's sometimes it's hard. It really is hard to run something like that. But it's definitely something to throw a spanner in the works.
Well, it'd be interesting because New York is technically a county, right? So the USGA is technically its own county. So you could almost have like a qualifier. So you could almost do put your USGA team together, play in New York. The winner plays whoever's coming over. That would be a very interesting concept.
That's what should be done in a real world, but they hold all the cards. They're like, oh, we picked the team. I've been up there. I've seen it all. I've trained with them. I've seen them. I've seen what goes on. It's I don't know. It's something that can be done.
I think more all-star teams would be cool though. You've this hectic season in the summer where it's it gets up to fucking 90, 100 degrees. To really bring on a fella and get him to fall in love with Gaelic football. Like if you had a few things going on there in the spring, the fall, when the weather is perfect for playing games outside, I think it'd be great to see.
Yeah, no, definitely would. And here, as well, because when you're at home and, you grow up in the system, in and out county trials and the whole lot, it'd be good for kids here. The likes of Owen Gormley, say, for instance, and there's a couple of Connemara guys, Dylan, and a couple of American kids. They're never going to experience what it's like to play for the county team. Owen there, I think, is talking about going home and maybe chancing his arm in the Monaghan team. I can't see why that lad wouldn't walk in there. He's an absolute stallion of a lad. It's just something more should be done about it. But in saying that, it's been talked about for years, but there's been no action. Well,
I'm hoping this junior thing will be a stepping stone because it does give them that next level of now something to work towards. This junior county team that's going to go over to Ireland and you're representing USGA. Playing teams good junior teams in an All Ireland and maybe playing in a final in Croke Park. That'd be unbelievable. I think you would have a bunch of people from the US going over to watch that game just for that'll be a memorable experience, not just as the players.
Yeah, absolutely.
But as a spectator, but as a fan and as a member of the USGA, be nothing better to watch a bunch of American kids that you're playing with go over and lift the trophy in that Irish soil.
Well,
I'll be
at the end of the day, all the hard work and training and dedication that I put into myself to play and my kids and the people around me, you want to thrive to playing in the best places in the Croke Park. That's it. If they set up a team and they made it at Croke Park, your job is done. You know what I mean? It's everyone gets a chance. Everyone gets a chance to play in Croke Park. Everyone gets to show what their worth is. But I just think it's a small bit unfair how New York get it all the time and New Boston don't get any recognition. That kind of way. So I'll be well retired before something is put in the woodwork. You know what I mean? But I'll give out about it now while I can. That kind of. So
I think that's a good time to kind of start the process of wrapping up. But I guess I got a close-out question. What do you see your involvement in both in the short term and the long term? What do you see in the next couple of years, and how do you see the future?
Well, I'm majorly involved in football, still playing, still clinging on to trying to play. But I've been a part of that St. Brendan's team for the last 5 years, and I've been coaching the Fela teams each year. You know, lads reach out looking for me to say. So once my days of playing football are done, I'm already heavily involved in coaching and managing and taking teams. Like we're taking an under 11s teams to CYC this year. We've been training all winter in the bubble and stuff like that. So look, it's once I hang my boots up, I'll still be very involved. It's just all about giving back, really, isn't it? I suppose when I was growing up, there was parents that gave so much of their time, but it didn't go unnoticed in my eyes, you know, because without them parents, you know, who didn't know what they were talking about in football, but they were there because they wanted to give back, I'm just going to do the exact same thing. And hopefully there's many more people like me that will fall in and give back and keep the Irish tradition of Gaelic football alive in Boston, in America. Yeah.
So what you're saying is, Robbie, whenever you hang up the boots, you're gonna do a little transfer over to the Worcester Fenians, and don't worry, you don't have to train. You know, just a couple of show up once in a while. You know, we'll put the transfer in for you. You know, Connor has the pints ready for you after the games. You know, so I know there's no pints before senior games, but junior games, no bother.
Yeah.
No bother. Night before, plenty of them.
I think I'm actually steering towards being a referee. So once I finish playing football, I do a lot of refereeing as well. So I'll just be nice to me, and I'll be nice to you. How about that?
Well, you're looking at 2 more referees this year as well. So we both just finished up our course. We have the certificate, and you're gonna see our ugly mugs out there refereeing too.
I didn't do any course. I don't know. I was supposed to be. I don't know. I'm the only referee that chased the fella out of the fucking field. He started to start the fight, and I tried to bait him. I said, "I'm going to get you out of the game," and then I realised I was the referee.
But refereeing, that's a tough one in Canton. It's just, we actually talked about it in one of the episodes with Peter Murray about the abuse referees get. And, it's tough when it's a small town, when everybody knows each other. And, you go off the field and you're the worst bollocks in the world. Like, you caused us this game and you did this. And it's like, it's a game.
I literally, I do feel it for referees. I'd be fairly verbal as well when I was playing when I was younger. I've not so much now as I got older, but even out in Canton there, like some of the things that's being said to you, it's like it's not for the faint-hearted. It really isn't. Now, I'm like water off a duck's back. I says for 60 minutes you can abuse me, I'm still gonna get paid regardless. But there's a fine line where there's like, here, shut your fucking mouth, or I'll bait you myself. Because there's just, these fellas, some of these lads don't play football and they just come out, Frankie and the lads, and they're giving up their time. I know they're getting paid and, it's part of it and stuff, but you don't know what a lad is going through on that particular day or what's going on in his life. And then you sit there and then you want to abuse him and the whole lot over a game of football, over a decision. And like even some of the fellas that I've known in this town since I've landed here are abusing me. And I'm like, you need to stop because you're not embarrassing me. Everybody's listening to you, but I think a little bit more has to be done in regarding the respect of referees, how they're spoken to, like the rugby there, for instance, yes or no. So I think that's amazing. I don't know how they do it, but they have the height of respect. But out in Canton, oh Jesus Christ, the things to be said.
How much, if there was a senior final, let's just say McAnespies weren't in it, against 2 teams, how much would they have to pay you to referee a senior football final?
Me, personally, I go off, when I referee, it doesn't matter if it's junior C, junior B, junior A, I have no problem refereeing a senior game because I am fully aware of the rules. I've been playing this sport my whole life. The only difference is it's the crowd, it's the heated moments, sometimes the decision of the referee might be right, but the crowd mightn't like it. Does that mean he has to turn his decision around to please? I go every game I do, I think to myself, if I'm not fair, even if I'm doing a McAnespies game, if I am not fair in this game, I don't care who wins because I'm neutral. I'm a referee. Even though McAnespies is my club, I only get marked off my last game. So if I don't do it fairly or I'm biased towards one team, I'm not going to get another game to ref, which means I'm not going to get paid, which means I'll lose that little bit of pocket money that I can make. So I try and be as fair as I can, even when I'm refereeing my missus' games. If she does a foul, I blow it. I do not care. I try and ref it as fairly as I can. And the problem is out here, I'm from the Max and I'm refereeing a Donegal Connemara game, and all of a sudden there now I'm very biased towards Donegal. You know, I put up with a lot of shit. I let a lot of shit slide as well. But like, they're not going to bully or manipulate me into giving them a decision. You know, you have to kind of stand firm with your decision. You're going to get a lot of shit, and as I said, it's not for the faint-hearted. It really isn't. But
any advice for new referees going in?
I just think, like, you know, let the game flow. Let it flow. Like, for instance, there now, I seen one lad punch a fella, right? And I kind of didn't see it, but I did. So then the other fella punched him back in a different occasion, and he came up arguing to me, and I says, you know what? I seen you punching him first. Therefore, I'm going to let it go because you both punched each other. Now, I don't want to see a lad punching the head off each other and stuff like that. Like, but if it's fair, I'll leave it fly. I'll leave it go. If it's, you know, but if there's one lad that's completely taking the piss and punching and the whole lot, well, you give them a warning and then you send them the road. But if you have to look at the crowd of people. If you have a Donegal game and they're all ratty, sometimes throwing out cards straight away can bring the mood down a small bit. Just you get that little bit of authority you're looking for. But for the most part, I just leave it go. You're going to get things wrong. You know, a fella might pick it up, you might miss it. Someone on the crowd won't miss it, they'll let you know. But then you might have someone on the other side might pick it up and you might let it go. You're balancing the books, do you get me? But it's, yeah, just bring a bodyguard, I suppose. It's the best thing, especially out of Canton.
All right. Well, Robbie, appreciate your time. Good luck in the upcoming season. I'm sure we'll be bumping into each other in the coming months, and appreciate you taking the time. Connor, do you want to wrap it up?
Did I send you off there last year?
What was that?
Did I send you off there last year? Now your face is coming to me now, Connor. Pretty quick.
No, it definitely wasn't me anyway. But yeah, no, thanks for coming on, Robbie, and thanks for everyone who's listening to this podcast. If you like this, do us a favor and give it a like, share, follow, leave a comment, and let us know what you think. And thanks, and we'll catch you next time, boys.